Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you very much for coming back to the third session of our seminar on the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. So yesterday the topic was not to defend and protect the false ego, right? And that led us to the topic of tolerance, how important it is to tolerate. And we were discussing all different examples and there's a bit of noise there in the back. So I was mentioning that we want to start with 5 steps in order to transform some unwanted patterns of behaviors. It actually works for any kind of internal transformation, whether this is envious patterns of false behavior or false ego patterns of behaviors. Whenever we want to transform certain patterns of behaviors, these 5 steps are very helpful. They're very simple and yet so practical and helpful. So especially yesterday we were saying how this urge to answer back and defend and blame others, this is sometimes so strong that we can't even control ourselves. We can't control our tongue, and it just can blurt all out. So let us imagine, we are strongly affected by this, that we like to answer back, we want to have the last word, we want to defend and find excuses, blame others. So what do we do? So step number 1 is always hearing about the topic. That's why I like to present these topics, because by hearing we become conscious of them. We become mindful. Everybody in this room, please switch off your mobile phone. This is very disturbing when there's the phone ringing. And if you want to talk on your phone, then please better do it outside. Yes, so by hearing about these topics, we become conscious. Because Prabhupada used to say, before becoming Krishna conscious, we first have to become conscious. Because we are often just so unconscious, not aware how we say things, why we say things, what's our motive, how our words affect others, how our activities affect others. We are often so unconscious of all these things. And as we said, the false ego contaminates the intelligence, and the contaminated intelligence always finds so many reasons why we are right, everybody else is wrong, so many justifications, and we can be just so trapped in all these patterns of behaviors because we may have carried them with us for so many lifetimes, right? Yes. So, step number 1 is always hearing. That wakes us up from our spiritual coma, from our unconscious state. It wakes us up from tamaguna, basically. That's what it is. It's tamaguna which makes us so unconscious about these subtleties. So then step number 2, hopefully after this little seminar we will come to step number 2, that we really realize, I have to do some work, I have to do something about this. I have to kick out these false ego patterns of behaviors. I have to kick them out from my life. Otherwise, how will I ever go back to Godhead? Will not be possible. So after hearing, that should be the second step, that we develop a burning desire to get rid of this. So, and then step number 3, we have to be introspective and honest, always looking within our heart. Why am I saying this? Why am I doing this? Why do I have this unpleasant feeling in my heart after this exchange? How did I contribute to the tension and the negativity in my exchange? So this introspection and honesty, this has to become like our second nature. Without this introspection and honesty, we actually cannot make advancement, Because, we can always sweep it all under the carpet, pretend it's not there, and so we can go on forever like this. So without this introspection and honesty and reflecting, as I was mentioning already in the first session, the whole process of bhakti is a very deep internal process. It's not an external thing of somehow just getting these 16 rounds done on the counter and getting first, second initiation. Or we get up there in the ladder of hierarchy, getting some position. Or we are so famous there over YouTube, so many followers. These are all such external things. But the real matter is internal, that we want to transform, our patterns of behaviors, our tastes, our likes, our dislikes, our worldviews, and ultimately our very heart, so that we can develop bhakti there. So it's a deep internal process, and without introspection and honesty and reflecting, we will not get anywhere. Yes. And exactly at this third step, we mentioned it a few times, we need a counselor, because we may just not be able to really reflect and introspect and see what the problem is, And that's where we need this well-wishing friend who has no other interest except helping us in our spiritual growth, Yes. No financial interest, no emotional interest. Often people ask, can my husband be my counselor? Well, to some extent he can guide, but husband and wife are very strong emotional connection. So we need at least another person in our life who has no emotional interest, And then also no managerial interest, because easily the management interests can clash with the personal interest of a devotee. So the essence, I used to be a part of the devotee care committee, the GBC strategic planning. So the essence of devotee care is actually that we have to become more people-focused rather than only project-focused. This is a big topic. I have a whole 15-hour seminar on that, or there's the book, It's such an important topic also. So in any case, this mentor can help us to reflect, to introspect, and to honestly look within our hearts, because as we are more affected by the false ego, we will not be able to see alone, So, and then fourth step is we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing. So that's already progress, you know? After we do the wrong thing, after we defend, after we, you know, have want to have the last word, and we realize, oh no, here we go again. I just couldn't help myself. I couldn't bite my tongue. I had to make that comment. And so at least we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing. So many times before we were doing the wrong thing, but we didn't even realize, right? We were thinking it's the right thing. But now at least we realize, oh no, here we go again. So we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing. So now my question to you, what's the next step? What do you think? Apply? Well, if it was just so easy, you know, we can tell ourselves so many times, I'm not going to do that again, or make some resolution, and then 2 hours later we do it again, you know? Yes, not so easy. So what's exactly? We pray to Krishna, we cry out. We cry out to Krishna. Yes, yes. Like Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say, an ISKCON temple is like a crying school, where we learn how to cry out to Krishna. It's actually the essence of Krishna consciousness, you know, to helplessly cry out to Krishna, exactly. And as we mentioned before, I think Lord Nrsingadev, with his sharp nails, he is very expert in performing the heart surgeries. So we have to beg him, please, my dear Lord Nrsingadev, rip out these false ego patterns of behaviors. We can actually compare false ego to Hiranyakashipu, you know? I find Hiranyakashipu is the embodiment, the personification of false ego and envy. Yes, you know? And he is just so expert. We by ourselves, we just cannot, we don't have that power, you know, to free us from this little Hiranyakashipu there. You know, we've been carrying him along with us for so many lifetimes. Yeah, we have to invite Krishna. That's what the residents in Vrindavan were doing. You know, when the demons were attacking, they were calling out to Krishna. So we have to do the same thing, you know. And yeah, we can say Lord Nrsingadev, he actually prepares our heart so we can approach Radha Krishna. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Bangalore in the Nrsinghagiri Dari temple. And there, when you enter the temple, Lord Nrsingadev's altar is downstairs. And then you go the stairs up, and there is, what were their names? Radha, Gandhavika Giridhari, exactly. They are upstairs. So I thought this was very befitting, you know, because downstairs, first Lord Nrsingadev, we have to approach him, he has to perform a few heart surgeries there. So, and then maybe we can manage to get upstairs to, you know, take darshan of Radha Krishna. You know, so that, yeah, that's what it's all about. We have to appeal to Lord Nrsingadev to help us. But our problem is that we are attached, you know, to this illusory hope that this ego gratification will also give us some juicy fruits. That's the problem, you know, that we think, okay, Krishna, you can take away this material desire, but not that one, not now, maybe a little later, you know. And yeah, and this is the root cause of material existence, that we want to be the enjoyer, you know, and the controller. And that's where also envy comes in. So envy, false ego, they're good friends. They always move around together, you know. So, yeah, not so easy to really sincerely, you know, cry out to Krishna. Really from the bottom of the heart with sincerity to beg him to free us from these tendencies. But if we do so, he will respond, you know. He will respond, definitely. Lord Nrsingadev, you better watch out what you pray for. He will respond. Yes. So, and then especially if we do these last 3 steps again and again and again, that we are introspective and honest, we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing, we cry out to Krishna, we are introspective and honest, we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing, we cry out to Krishna. So if we do these last 3 steps again and again and again, then sooner or later we come to the 6th step, which is we catch ourselves doing the right thing. Yes. Some little daily, you know, episode will come our way and we think, wow, you know, before I would have reacted differently, but now I can just let it go by. I don't have to respond. I don't have to, you know, react. My false ego is not being provoked. And we can just leave it at that. We can just let it go, you know. And then we realize, wow, this is Lord Nrsingadev's mercy. It actually works, you know. Yes. So these steps are very simple and yet very powerful. I'm using them myself, you know, because, yeah, I'm just preaching to myself here. It's not that I am free of false ego or something. So, and it took me many years to realize how, you know, the false ego gets into my ways, you know, yes, yes. So I find this very helpful, but it is a lot of work. You know, constant internal work. Every day, reflecting. You know, we can, maybe in the afternoon or evening, we can reflect on the day. So what, you know, what was happening? Did my false ego get the better of me? Did I have to answer back and defend, have the last word, and. You know, or we can even start the day with our japa, praying to Krishna, please, one day without false ego provocations and reactions and patterns of behaviors, you know, that we take it from day to day. Because you will see, once you get more sensitized and perceptive, almost every day, you know, Krishna gives us some situations which we could use to let go of the false ego, but usually we do the opposite. We defend, we answer back, and, practically every day. Yeah. And usually we don't even notice, you know. Yes, yes. Especially married life. So much opportunity for this. Oh my God. You know, often mothers tell me how the children provoke their false egos, and between husband and wife, or towards the parents. You know, there is so much intense purification, you know. But we have to recognize the opportunities for purification. Usually we don't. Usually we don't, you know. As we mentioned yesterday, all this blaming between husband and wife and all this. You know, oh, my God, you know, yeah. I mean, that in itself is a good reason to go through this purifying journey of married life, just to get that opportunity, you know, to really purify the heart. Yeah, so these are the 5 steps which are really helpful for any kind of transformational internal work. So let me see, before we move on, are there any questions about this or what, about yesterday, tolerance, defending, whatever? Is there anything which needs further clarification? Somebody can be the mic man and run and give people the mic.
Hare Krishna. I want to know what is the relationship between envy and false ego?
Okay, relationship between envy and false ego. Well, a very close relationship. As we said, envy, false ego, they're good friends. So basically, envy comes in as soon as we strive for sense gratification. As soon as sense enjoyment is the goal, envy and competition enter. Because then we use every opportunity to establish our superiority. I actually have a whole separate presentation on envy. It's in the Sheltering Relationships book. There is a chapter on envy. Because envy is like a state of heart, actually. You know, usually we use the word that we are envious towards somebody who has something which we don't have. But I like to see it a little broader and deeper, that it's actually a state of heart which comes out in any relationship. And we use any relationship, even the relationship with subordinates, to one more time establish that yes, we are superior and you are down there and I am up here. You know? And we may say, yes, I want you to grow, but definitely not higher than me. I'm always up here, you are always down there. You know, so yeah, it's a bit of a heart surgery, that discussion too, how envy manifests in our relationships with seniors equals juniors. So that's envy. But false ego is basically the root cause of envy, right? By thinking ourselves to be something which we are not, that's how the whole desire for sense gratification and enjoyment comes in, right? So, yeah, they're very closely connected. So false ego is the root cause, you know, and then as soon as we strive for enjoyment, the envy enters, right? So, again, hard to separate, really, you know. Okay, anything else?
Hare Krishna. Mataji, this is in relation to your yesterday's point. You were discussing your personal example of Germany, you got 1500 euros tax, and then you quoted Prabhupada's purport, tolerating material perplexities. I was reflecting on that topic, and of late this topic of hermeneutics has become very...
Of what?
Of late the topic of hermeneutics. Hermeneutics...
I don't understand. Of?
Hermeneutics, this concept of hermeneutics.
Huh?
Hermeneutics, okay, no problem. We'll not discuss. Hermeneutics, hermeneutics. Means how do we come to a conclusion? There are a set of observations. Prabhupada did this in this situation, Prabhupada did this in this situation, he said this here. So out of these 5-6 statements, how do we come to a conclusion? This hermeneutics, like book change. Okay, fine. It's fine. Okay, I'll just share.
Maybe I don't acoustically understand it, or maybe I don't know the term. Is it a term of the professional world? Yeah, well,
especially to spiritual,
I'm not so in touch.
especially to spiritual organizations, is coming from Christian background. Yeah, any topic, how do we reach a conclusion? There are set of instances and references.
Okay.
How do you come to a conclusion?
So
I had heard from a Prabhupada disciple that any statement of Prabhupada, we have to see it in reference to all other statements and how he acted practically also in situations. So I was just reflecting on this topic of tolerance and some injustice is being done. So Prabhupada writes that in the purport, which you quoted from 4th canto, Material Perplexities. But I was reflecting regarding this Juhu case. Devotees were struggling badly there. Mosquitoes, rats, snakes, and then Mr. Nair, big Bombay man, cheating. They were saying, Prabhupada, maybe it's Krishna's will, we just leave it. Prabhupada said, no, it's Krishna's will, we fight. Prabhupada fought it, even the disciples were against it.
Yes. I think we mentioned that Prabhupada was, of course, leading court cases. I even think I mentioned Juhu, but he was fighting on behalf of Krishna. Yes. But my situation that the government, the taxation department charged me 1,500 euros tax, it's not really on behalf of Krishna. I mean, you could say, okay, it's Krishna's Lakshmi, and yeah, I was struggling a little bit with that, but then what option do I have, So it's a pretty different example, different situation. Of course, Prabhupada was a fighter on Krishna's behalf, definitely. Yes, but he didn't lead the court case for his false ego gratification of trying to be right or something, I mean, in this connection, I think we didn't mention it yesterday. This nice story with Shakshi Gopal, where the old Brahmana promises the young Brahmana his daughter for marriage. And he makes the promise in front of the deities. And then his relatives, didn't like the idea and were trying to talk him out of it. So now the young Brahmana, his main concern was that the old Brahmana is breaking his promise, which he gave in front of Shakshi Gopal. That was his motive. So there we could also say, well, but he defended, he wanted the wife. No, that was not his motive. It was not a false ego battle. That's not fair, he promised, now he's not giving. That was not his mood. His only concern was, this Brahmana is breaking his promise. This is terrible. This will give him so many heavy reactions. So, and with that mood, he approached Shakshi Gopal, So, and then he agreed, okay, after the Brahmana said, well, if you can talk, then you can walk. So, okay, he agreed to walk there to the village and be the witness. But certainly he would have not agreed, if this young Brahmana would have been on some false ego trip. Right? Yes. So, it's a nice example to understand the difference, the subtle difference, whether we fight for our own interest and false ego gratification or on Krishna's behalf, So Prabhupada definitely, he was fighting on Krishna's behalf. Whereas my story, well, I can't really, I wouldn't want to go so far and say, on Krishna's behalf, I have to fight with the taxation department here. No, I think this is more an incidence to say, all right, maybe I owe them something, you know. And, well, yeah, I spaced out. I somehow didn't get the letter in time, and you know, yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, like in the case of Dhruv Maharaj, we see he used the false ego and it was so high that the whole tapasya was in the mood of the false ego. And even Lord himself appeared before him, blessed him. And even he was in ecstatic symptoms came, everything came. So if you see, even he used the false ego, not that rejected or gave up, he used and got even did his Tibra Bhakti.
Yes.
So how to understand this part?
Well, as we were also saying, initially, the false ego has a good part too. At least it gets us going, you know. We were mentioning, give up the false ego, but not too quickly. Not before we have actually cultivated the motivation to serve. So, yeah, we may also, well, not we may, we definitely start on the false ego motivation platform, you know. Even our satisfaction, which we experience in devotional life, big portion of it is false ego satisfaction. Yes, because we are not pure. We are not tasting the pure bhakti or something, not yet. Maybe one day. So, we start off with a false ego motivation, but we very strictly have to follow Guru's orders, as Dhruva Maharaj did, you know. So, and part of Guru's orders is also to reflect and purify our motives, you know. So, and then one day we will hopefully become purified, you know. Yes. And then Krishna may give us, you know, so many successes and opulences and whatever, you know. But yeah, Dhruva Maharaj, after he got the darshan of the Lord, he was lamenting, you know, oh, I've just been running after broken pieces of glass here, and here I'm getting the real jewel, you know. So, and he actually didn't want to have his material desire satisfied, you know. The mouse running there.
They got into the bag.
Well, the bag is empty, so actually it would be good if the mouse gets into the bag, then maybe we can put her outside, because I feel sorry for the poor thing, you know. So maybe put the bag so it gets trapped there. Put a little cookie inside or something. Yes. So anyway, you know, hopefully this, I mean, the Dhruva Maharaj's story very nicely illustrates the whole process of purification, you know, that initially we may be very ego-driven, but by following the process properly, we do get purified, and we hear about false ego, and we read, and we do some internal work, and then, you know, we lose the lower taste, and we have a higher taste, you know, yes. And then Krishna may give us so many things anyway.
Means in his case, he only focused in Krishna consciousness, no? What is Guru gave. He did not, he maybe, it's not like anything he worked against false ego. He used that false ego, what I saw. So how can we see this? Because, in the sense, finally he reached to the very pure platform, but he never worked on against false ego.
He never
worked against false ego. He just started the Krishna conscious process very nicely. His focus was on how the mantra was given by his Guru.
Yes, so I mean, if we accept the process very nicely too, you know, then hopefully we will also get purified. So yes, it illustrates the power of the process of devotional service. If we wholeheartedly, sincerely apply it. That's what Dhruva Maharaj did, you know.
And also parallelly we can invest also, not against false ego parallelly. While we're doing, like Dhruv Maharaj case is very special case where he just did tapasya and got all purification. In our case, we have to do Krishna consciousness, very try to do better and better, and also focus on negating false ego. Just asking.
Focus on negative false ego.
Negating means also neglecting the false ego.
Neglect.
Yes.
Well, see, Dhruva Maharaj's process was slightly different than what we do, you know. Dhruva Maharaj was sitting there in seclusion just chanting the mantras, whereas we are meant to engage in service and Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement and so the process is a little different now. But the principle is the same, that if we just wholeheartedly accept the process of devotional life and do everything to satisfy our Guru, you know, so that means also cooperating with devotees. You know, as Prabhupada said, your love for me will be shown how much you cooperate. So as we mentioned yesterday, in cooperation, the false ego, you know, gets provoked and we are being exposed of our false ego motivations and so on, you know. Okay?
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for such a nice class, seminar. I'm sorry if I missed it yesterday. Yesterday I missed 30 minutes class. So the question I'm asking, if it is a repeated, just let me know. I'm asking about the counselor. You said counselor is the one who can correct us, like, you know, if we are in false.
Counselor is the one who?
Who can correct us if
Yes.
we are having false ego and
Yes.
all. And you told us about the qualities of the counselor also. So like
we didn't mention much the qualities.
3 things, like he shouldn't have a financial interest and he shouldn't have emotional interest.
There should be no, yes.
No mutual interest. And he should be free of false ego also. It's like,
Well, you know, free of false ego, I think then there will be no counselor there, you know. No, I mean, I don't want to go too much off the... Just leave it as it was, because my voice is very fragile. So if you turn it down, then I will have voice problems. It was perfect before, so just leave it, please. Because I'm glad if I get through the seminar, my voice is very fragile. I have a cold, you know. Yes, so I don't want to get too much off the topic. In this book, Sheltering Relationships, there is a whole chapter on the qualities a counselor has to have. So, but we have to start with what we've got. And the whole mentorship process is a whole tuning process of anarthas for both sides. There will also be so many things in the counselor coming to the surface. You know, yes. Sometimes people say, oh, we tried this counselor system, it doesn't work, too much trouble. Well, of course there will be problems, because the counselors also are not selfless. You know, they may be possessive over their counselees, there may be some false ego thing there. So this all will be exposed, you know, within the counselor as well as the counselee, you know. So sometimes we come across this, that, you know, the counselor or mentorship system has the risk to become a system for controlling people rather than caring for people, you know. So that's when there's too much false ego there on the part of the counselor, then it's just control, you know, and he's my man, he has to be in my group, he can't change to another counselor, and all these kind of things. So it will be exposed, right? So it's a whole purifying journey. for both sides. For both sides. Yes.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay. One last thing, and then we should start with the next topic because we already spent 1 hour.
My question is it because of the false ego that we are stuck in this material world? Is it the...
Yes, we mentioned that in the first class. You were not there then.
No.
Get the book.
I have the book, I have to read it again.
Okay. Yeah, well, because we think ourselves to be something which we are not, and the nonsensical stage performance. And so, yeah, false ego traps us in this nonsensical stage performance, lifetime after lifetime. Yes. And I mean, as we know, the subtle body of mind intelligence, false ego, has to be fully transformed. So false ego has to be transformed into the real ego, which is Jiva Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. That's our real identification, just being servant, nothing else. Okay, so let us move on. Today I want to get into the second very important rule of Vaishnava etiquette. So yesterday was don't defend, don't protect your false ego. So today, because our false ego is so near and dear to us, we like to feed it. We like to feed it and boost it instead of dissolving and subduing it. So in other words, we like to use different aspects of Krishna consciousness to bring attention to ourselves, to show off, right? Yes, to be the center and to be recognized, glorified, and. So Krishna consciousness gives a lot of opportunity for this, Yes. So that's why very important rule of Vaishnava etiquette is that a devotee should actually avoid situations where he is recognized. Yes, where he's recognized, where he's glorified. Actually, Vaishnava mood means we feel uncomfortable when we are recognized and glorified. Yes. That's the Vaishnava mood. But usually we are the opposite, we love it. Oh, finally everybody realizes how great I am, and. Yes, so we don't only like to feed our false egos, but we often also massage each other's false egos. That I glorify you, and then you will be my follower. Because yes, everybody likes to be glorified, so if somebody glorifies us, then we think, oh wow, he must be a very exalted devotee because he recognizes my greatness, So, and then we offer some flattering words back, This is a whole business deal, right? Yes, it's going on. Although there is a difference between offering appreciation and to massage one's false ego, Massaging one's false ego. Often that it is not offered with humility and sincerity, but just some flattering words. And ultimately behind us that we want to be glorified ourselves. You know, we want to bring attention to ourselves. You know, yes. Yeah, so in other words, you know, we have so many rules of Vaishnava etiquette which help us to keep ourselves in the background, you know. One very important rule, which may be here in the Western, in India it is understood, but in the Western world it's not. This is the rule that we should not lead kirtan or speak unless we are invited to do so, you know? And especially in the presence of other senior devotees, it's considered to be very inappropriate to be so eager to lead or speak, you know? Yes. Because very easily there is the false ego there pushing us, you know, wanting to be noticed, you know. Yeah, so yeah, we should try and keep ourselves in the background, and if we are invited to lead a kirtan, all right, we accept it in a humble mood of service, but we should not be so anxious, you know. Or sometimes in the temple, daily temple life, there may be nobody appointed to lead the Prabhupada Guru Puja. So instead of inviting ourselves, we should actually invite others. We should not just go up to the mic and think, okay, well, nobody's leaving, must be my turn. No, we should invite others, not ourselves, you know? But this is often not so observed, you know? Yes. We love to invite ourselves, you know, rather than inviting others. So the mood is others should be pushed forward, not pushing ourselves forward, right? Yes. I mean, even in little things like doing Tulsi Aarti in the mornings, you know, in smaller temples, so often, at least amongst the ladies, it's often like that everybody stands there waiting, so who is doing the Aarti, you know, and then who is the quickest to take the socks off, and nobody's taking the socks off yet. Okay, must be my turn, I'll quickly take the socks off. You know, no, we should invite others. Would you like to do the Tulsi Aarti? You know? But it's strange. I have been presenting this so many times, and yet, you know, people either hope that somebody invites them, and therefore they're not inviting others, or they like to invite themselves, you know? Yeah, it's really puzzling, but it's so deep in our habits or something, patterns of behaviors, that we find it tough to invite others, you know? So, but this is the rule of etiquette, especially in regards to singing or speaking. Unless we are invited, we are not meant to be so eager there, you know? Yes. Or even if we are scheduled, but if a more senior person comes, we should actually invite them, you know, and only when that senior person says, no, you are scheduled, you give the class, then okay, we give, you know. but just this eagerness to be heard and noticed. This is a real false ego thing, Actually, in one purport, Prabhupada makes this humorous comment. He says, in the material world, even an ass enjoys his own sound vibration. My sound is so beautiful. The whole world has to hear my sound. Yes. In the material world, even the ass thinks he's so beautiful. And then Prabhupada continues, but in the spiritual world, even the beautifully chirping birds, like the peacocks, the chakravaka, the cuckoo, they rather hear the glories of the Lord from the bees, hummed by the bees. So even though the bees, from a material point of view, their sound is not that attractive, But these beautifully chirping birds, they think, I want to hear from the bees. They sound so much more beautiful. That's the mood in the spiritual world, that everybody wants to hear from the other and thinks, oh, their sound is so much nicer. But in the material world, even the ass thinks, my sound is so beautiful, Yeah, so in other words, if we want to go there one day, we have to cultivate the mood, of pushing others forward, not ourselves. Yeah, so that there are so many rules of Vaishnava etiquette which are meant to help us, to cultivate this mood. So that's why we always let the more senior people do things first. They should, in the class, they should first chant the Sanskrit and not the new Bhakta first, or the Charnamrita, let the seniors go first. Or offering flowers at Prabhupada Guru Puja, let the seniors go first. So that there's, or even with the ghee lamp, of course here, Vrindavan festival, no question of being able to discriminate. But at least there is the rope, there's the rope there, so the Prabhupada disciples and sannyasis, they can be in the front, yes. So we try our best, to follow these etiquettes already here, Yeah, so this is just such an important thing, because this urge, this little ass is just using every opportunity to stick up his ugly head and be noticed and heard and recognized. And I mean, sometimes you have it even during the Premadvani prayers, Jayam Vishnupad, you always, in every temple you have somebody who shouts out, Jai, Jai, at least that's his way to be heard, Jai, Oh my God. Of course, I mean, maybe it is transcendental ecstasy, who knows, but maybe it is the ass, wanting to be heard, So, yeah, once you get a little sensitized in this, you will notice it more, how people use these opportunities to be noticed and heard and recognized, And I mean, Facebook, of course, social media, we have to be very careful. This can easily feed the false ego like anything. This whole competition there, who's got more followers on YouTube and how many views and likes you get, and oh, this preacher has so many and I only have so many, and ooh, dangerous, very dangerous. I came across an interesting statement of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He did not allow his disciples to have a picture of him in public. You know? I believe, if I remember correctly, it was even on the altar. He did not allow. He said, while I'm in this world, you cannot post a picture in public. This will not be good for my false ego, he said. So of course, Bhaktisiddhanta, he doesn't have a false ego, you know? No, but why does he say this? For us, to instruct us, to have your picture posted. Look at me, whole world sees me, you know? Woo, feeding the false ego, yes. I sometimes wonder what Bhaktisiddhanta would say about Facebook and all these things, you know? I mean, I like to call it false ego book, you know? Yes. I mean, sometimes when you look at people's Facebook pages, what they all post, and then, you know, some ridiculous pictures of themselves, the ladies with all hair out and this and that, and you know, yeah, we have to learn to look a little deeper, you know. This is really dangerous for our spiritual life. It completely feeds the false ego. And very easily we can, you know, justify it all. It's all in the name of preaching. Yes, it's all preaching. But what are we really doing? You know, do we really want to glorify the Lord, or do we just want to become a big important person? And I do want to read you one interesting statement from the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 3, where Prabhupada says, therefore, anyone who has any desire or aspiration for satisfying his senses by becoming more and more important, either in the material sense or in the spiritual sense, cannot actually relish the really sweet taste of devotional service. Wow. When I read this the first time consciously, this really hit me. Wow, you know, and I was thinking, my God, I want to taste the real thing. You know, so I better give up this desire to become a more and more important person. Because if I try to become a more and more important person, even in a spiritual sense, what are we tasting? False ego gratification, nothing else. Yes, we are not relishing the really sweet taste of devotional service. Well, I want to relish that. I want to get there. So it means we have to give up this desire of becoming an important person. But aren't we all trying to become in our own little ways? You know, we are trying to become an important person, right? Yes. I mean, that statement is so profound, so simple, but yet, boy, it really hit me when I read this the first time, you know? Yes. Yeah, so I guess that's why Rupa Goswami tells us, you know, the weeds and the bhakti lata, they look so much the same. You can't really distinguish them so easily, you know? And that's why a devotee has to become an expert gardener. So, becoming an expert gardener means doing this internal work, reflecting, introspecting, wondering, am I watering the weeds here of name, fame and adoration, or am I watering the bhakti lata? You know? Yes, yes. Yeah, so, and again, as we are saying, we can cover it all up in the name of preaching. but if we're really honest, looking within our hearts, we may very well detect that we're running after becoming a more and more important person, followers, and, so many likes on YouTube or whatever, Yes. Yeah, so, dangerous, very dangerous, Yes. Yeah, so we have to be very introspective, we have to look deeply, Yes. I mean, I live without a phone. I travel the whole world without a phone. Yes, it's possible. Sometimes it's a little difficult, but yeah, I always find people who help me out if I really need a phone. Yes, so, huh? What? Oh, you print them out. No issue. Flight tickets. I just print them out. I mean, we were flying for so many years, before the iPhones came out. No problem. So, because I don't have a phone, I'm actually not really on all these social medias and all this, Yes. I am not advanced enough that this would not affect me. Yes, yes. It's so subtle. It's so subtle. As Jayadvaita Swami likes to say, Maya has gone high-tech. Maya has gone high-tech, high technology. Maya uses the high technology, to affect us. Yes. Oh, the selfies. People have always loved to have their photos taken. It's also a false ego thing, Oh, me here, and. But now with a selfie, we don't even have to ask anybody, You can just take photos of yourself. And sometimes when I travel at airports, I see people just sitting, taking photos of themselves. They're all in love with themselves. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, doing it in the temple with the deities. Yeah, well, it is offensive to use the deities as a backdrop. Here is me in the front, the deities in the back. That's why we should not take selfies. Because, huh? You're not even on the same level. I'm ahead in the front. Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, see, people just don't understand. They're not conscious of it. They just love to have their photo taken. And then, I mean, in one sense, it is just ignorance. And maybe a little bit of innocence there also. Because they want to have a picture of the deities, and as a memory how I was in Vrindavan or something. But I am in the foreground and the deities are in the back. That's what's so offensive, Yes. Yes, it's a whole thing, these selfies, my God. And I mean, interestingly, so many people die while taking selfies, As we were saying, if you act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. So, instant reaction, boom, dead, Yes. I was once doing a tour around the US. I was in, where's the Grand Canyon? Arizona, I think. I didn't go to the Grand Canyon, but when I was there, devotees told me that some tourist fell down the Grand Canyon, died while doing selfie, you know. Just as one more step back and boom, you're down, you know. And I came across some statistics that India has the highest death rate taking selfies. People are adventurous while train is moving, or you know, not seeing train is coming, standing on the tracks, whatever, you know. So yes, I mean, I'm not sure if it's just a sign of adventurousness or if it's just, you know, being enamored by all this technology and gadgets and, oh, me in the photo, you know. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I mean, this whole showing off takes bizarre forms, you know, because as Krishna says, lust can never be satisfied and burns like fire. False ego also can never be satisfied. People come up with more and more crazy ideas how to hit the news, you know, how to be recognized, you know, that people perform all kinds of horrible, disgusting crimes, filming themselves while doing it, posting it on the internet, you know, all kinds of crazy things. This is all false ego, just, you know, it's just maddening, you know, yes. Or sometimes people even commit crimes, you know, all these shootings and stuff. I remember some years ago in Norway was some guy who shot so many children and teachers in a school, and he admitted he just wanted to hit the news, become world famous, you know? Yes, because everything has been there already, so people have to come up with more and more absurd and crazy ideas just to be noticed and recognized. Yes. My God, you know, yes. It's very sad to see, you know. Yes. Yes, so in any case, you know, as devotees, we have to be very careful that we understand things a little more deeper and we look through these things and we don't fall into these traps of false ego gratification, you know. Yes, yes. Yes. Actually, once one Mataji was telling me how she was attending a kirtan mela, which was broadcasted. So, and she was purposefully sitting close to the kirtaniyas so she would be in the picture. And, you know, the camera was moving around and she was sharing with me how she just could not concentrate on the holy name at all, because she was always watching on the screen, oh, when is the camera coming towards me, or now the camera is there, okay, that person is in the picture. So, you know, the whole time in the kirtan, she was just watching how the camera was moving and when she was in the picture, so that the whole world would see, oh, I am at the kirtan mela, you know. Yeah, these things are going on, you know. Oh, at least she was honest enough to share it, you know. But so many of us, we may not be honest enough to share these things. And we just, yeah, I want to be there with the kirtaniyas, and by the way, yes, I will be in the picture. But yeah, again, the contaminated intelligence can justify it all, you know. Yes. Yeah, so these things are going on, you know. Yes. Let me see what else I have here on my picture. Yeah, I mean, let me mention maybe one little thing about glorifying devotees. You know, this is a bit of a topic because I dare say there is an art to glorify and appreciate devotees without feeding their false egos. You know? Because, I have observed this has become in the recent years a bit of a thing that we always announce. This person has done this, ki joy, the drums are going. This person has cooked the Sunday feast, this person has sponsored, and, you know. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, we didn't do this, actually. We didn't. And I can't help myself thinking, all right, it may inspire devotees to perform the service because initially we may need this false ego gratification, but eventually, you know, we should actually come to the point where we feel uncomfortable when our name is mentioned, you know? Not that, forever we remain on this level, that we just lap it up. Oh, my name, everybody heard that I cooked the feast, and. You know? This is the very beginning stage, you know, but we should actually bring our devotees to the point where they feel discomfort when their name is mentioned, you know? Yes, and there we can check a little bit where we stand. How do we feel if our name is mentioned, you know? Do we think, oh, thank God, everybody knows that I did this service, you know? Or do we feel uncomfortable, you know? So then we can see how much advancement we have made, whether we actually feel uncomfortable when we are glorified like this, you know? Yeah, so I prefer, when I express my appreciation to devotees, I prefer to do it one-on-one. Because naturally, the bigger the audience is who hears my glories, the more it feeds the false ego. Oh, hundreds of people heard that I sponsored this and I did that, you know. Whereas if we go up to the person and say, oh, thank you for cooking the Sunday feast. This means a lot to me. You know, thank you for doing the service so steadily. I find this more personal rather than having, you know, this institutionalized glorifications there, you know. It's more personal and maybe also more sweet and more honest and more with humility expressing my gratitude rather than just this whole fanfare of ki jai, you know. And then also, any kind of feedback should actually be given in a certain system. That we first offer appreciation, then we offer some room for improvement, you know, and then we close on appreciation again with a positive. Even Well, even in one sense, chastisement or correction should be given like this. That first we appreciate the person's service. So, and then we say what we really feel we have to say. And then we close again. But anyway, don't worry, we all love you and we are happy you're part of our community and, you know. So same thing there with appreciation, that we can also offer some little room for improvement, you know. That we say, okay, thank you so much for cooking the Sunday feast. The dal was a little salty, but the paneer sabji was wonderful, everybody loved it, and, you know. So yeah, I personally, I mean, maybe it's my personal thing, I personally feel we should not get stuck on this, just offering this false ego gratification, hoping that next week he will again cook the Sunday feast. And if I don't give this false ego gratification, he will not do it anymore, or he will not donate anymore, you know. All right, if people are very new, okay, let them get their false ego gratification. But eventually, we have to uplift devotees and bring them to this point of unconditional service, you know, not for the sake of ego gratification. And then sometimes, I mean, I have been, over the years, I was, you know, coordinating festivals, and at the end I was trying to, you know, offer my appreciation to people's service, and then sometimes it's a whole thing. Oh, people get offended. You didn't mention my name. I was also in the kitchen, you know, and I was also doing this and that, but I was not mentioned. Oh God, you know, what is this? You know, Vaishnava would feel glad, thank God my name was not mentioned, you know, and not, oh, everybody also has to know that I did this and, you know. Yeah, it's somehow, for me, it doesn't feel right, you know. So I personally like to appreciate devotees privately. I find this more personal, more sweet, more honest, and you can also offer some feedback, you know, some room for improvement, you know, rather than this institutionalized glorification there or something, you know. Yes. Yeah, because we don't want to feed people's egos, you know. Yes, we don't. Yes. I mean, we even have the saying, he who corrects you is your real friend. He who glorifies you is your enemy. Why? Because he feeds your false ego. You know? Yes, that's why. Yes. And I mean, that's the thing. False ego jumps at every opportunity, you know, to show off and become proud. I mean, there is this one purport also. Let me share this. This is 1 Canto 8th chapter, verse 26. This is the chapter of Queen Kunti, where she prays for the calamities to come again and again. There is this verse where Prabhupada says, actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency, but there is a quality to such utterance also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. And then Prabhupada makes this statement. Therefore, the four principles of material advancement, namely high parentage, good wealth, high education, and attractive beauty, are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. Ooh, very powerful purport, First of all, showing how material satisfaction is so dangerous for spiritual development, because material satisfaction means I'm doing fine, I'm doing great. How can we feel hopeless? How can we hopelessly call out to Krishna if we are, situated in material satisfaction? And then the four principles of material advancement: high parentage, good wealth, high education, bodily beauty. So why are there disqualifications? Because immediately we get puffed up about them. False ego, thinking, oh, I'm so wealthy, oh, I'm so learned. And high education is not only materially high educated, it can also be spiritual, Yes, if we are not mature and we do higher studies, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Sarvabhauma, we can get all puffed up about it. I know so many verses, look at me, Yes. So it's a whole thing, We have to be very careful. Last few points, and then I have to give my voice a rest. False ego is so tricky. It can get into any gap. It can get into the door through the smallest gap. And even very sublime, saintly relationships, like the relationship with our Guru, can be poisoned through false ego. My Guru is the best, and therefore I am the best, the next best, because he's my Guru. Ooh, this is going on, yes. Of course, we all feel my Guru is special because he saved me from material existence. But no need to use Guru to show off and bring attention to ourselves. That's what we do. My Guru. Yes, that's a very private, personal thing, our Guru, And we don't make a show and canvas and all this. This is all false ego stuff. Or same with our deities. My deities are so special. And because they're my deities, that's why I'm the next special. Yes. Oh, I've been to communities where there's almost a whole subtle competition. Who's got the most exotic deity? Yes, these things are going on, yes. False ego, yes, getting into any gap there in the door, and can poison and ruin everything. Yes. Yes, all right, so let me see, do we have any questions? Yes, over there. Where is the mic?
So how do we handle if we get appreciated all the time? How do we handle this? Because at one point you believe it, you are great and you're doing fine.
So how to handle when we get appreciated? Well, the Vaishnav etiquette is to always pass immediately the glory on to our Guru, to Prabhupada. But very often this is just lip service, you know. Then people say, yes, it's all Guru's mercy, it's all Prabhupada's mercy. But actually in the heart, yes, thank you that you realized how great I am, you know. And yeah, by Prabhupada's mercy, I am so great. You know, so deep internally, we are not really having this feeling, actually, I'm not doing anything, I'm nothing. It's all by Prabhupada's mercy. You know, we don't have that feeling. But we should. So, what to do? At least we have to externally start following this etiquette of passing the glory on, you know. Either loudly by voicing, you know, or if the circumstances don't allow, then we do it at least internally, you know. And I mean, if we voice this with all humility, you know, let's say we are glorified and we grab the mic and we say with all humility, actually, you know, I'm just a tiny little instrument here, and so many other devotees have helped, and, you know, I just did something little here, but really Krishna used me as an instrument, and my Guru and Prabhupada gave me some little intelligence, you know, so then we can actually convey the message, you know. But if it just becomes some standard external answer, routine answer, then yeah, it's not really coming from the heart, you know. Yes. Yeah, I mean, we have the story in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you know, Madhavendra Puri running away out of fear that his glories will be spread in the village there, where the Lord kept some kheer, some sweet rice for him, you know. So, yeah, so that's the mood of a Vaishnava, blocking his ears and running away. I don't want to hear all this glorification, hiding, feeling uncomfortable, you know. Yes. So we may detect that we have a long way to go to get there, you know. What else? Any other question?
Hare Krishna. Mataji, this is in relation to the topics you were discussing about recognition. Saraswati Thakur said not to have his picture in public.
I can't hear you acoustically. Somehow this mic is not good. But, or come and use my mic. Yes. Yes. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. I mean, if I understood the whole story correctly, you recognized that, your whole false ego thing there, that your false ego was demanding, oh, my name should be there too. But how for managerial reasons? Not sure. I mean, usually the managers know what service the brahmacharis are doing, no? Usually? Yeah. Huh? One knows. Well, Krishna knows. See, the main important thing is that Krishna recognizes. And if Krishna recognizes, what more do we want? What more do we want? If Krishna is pleased and recognizes our efforts, we do feel that deep satisfaction. We don't need any other things there, And I mean, again, if we have a mentor, a counselor, then even though the temple president may not know what we are doing, but the counselor should know, But I think we should just rest assured that if we serve, like we were saying in the first session, the two motivating forces, if we simply serve genuinely, Krishna will arrange that the right doors open at the right time. Krishna is in control, not the manager. Yes. Because, see, this is really the ambitiousness from the mundane path of success. That, oh, my boss has to know, and then I will be promoted, and I have to make sure I show off enough and let everybody know what I'm doing, but that's just not the mood in Krishna consciousness, And let's also be clear, development of bhakti is not dependent on, managerial, promotion there or something. You know what I mean? I mean, often just a devotee who is just doing some humble service, for them it may be so much easier to actually cultivate true bhakti rather than being in the limelight and everybody knows you and, So that's the tapasya a preacher takes, I'm often looking at people who are just sweeping, and I'm thinking, oh God, what a nice situation. All you have to do is sweep the floor nicely. I almost wish I could be in that position, but here I am, I have to travel and preach and do this and that. And so this humble service, that there is so much sweetness there if we do it with the right mood and attitude. And that's what we're going to do in the spiritual world, All the big positions are taken in the spiritual world. There we will just be the assistant of the assistant of the assistant, heating up the milk, like, who was it, Raghunath Das Goswami or somebody? Or picking some flowers or whatever, So just some humble service, Yes, let's remember this nice statement of Prabhupada. As long as we want to become a more and more important person, even in a spiritual sense, we are not relishing the really sweet taste of devotional service. You know, that should be the takeaway of this session here, you know. This whole thing of showing off, this is not giving bhakti, you know. Yes. What else? Yeah, I mean, kirtan can be the opportunity for feeding one's ego, you know. My sound is so beautiful, and sometimes people, you know, they're so anxious and they get offended, you know. As soon as we get offended or discouraged because we were not allowed to lead, always indicates false ego, you know. Then the joy does not come from chanting the holy name, because that joy we also can have when we sit in the crowd, you know. But as long as we get frustrated, I was not given an opportunity to lead, the alarm bells should be going off, you know, that we're running after false ego gratification, you know. Once we get on deeper levels of chanting, you know, we actually lose this eagerness to lead, because we also realize, you know, if I just sit in the crowd, it's much easier to connect with Krishna and really call out helplessly. But if you have to lead, you're more easily in external consciousness, and you start wondering, oh, do devotees like my tune, and maybe I have to change, and maybe they get bored, and this and that, and you know. So yeah, this ambitiousness, having to lead, guaranteed false ego, you know. Yes. For the online audience, if we are eager to do Tulsi Puja, if we don't live in the temple, and then sometimes we come and we want to do the Tulsi Puja, well, there are also other ways to serve Tulsi Devi, you know, even circumambulating, even watering. We are also serving Tulsi Devi, you know, or we can pick the leaves or something. I mean, you would know better, you know. You reflect, you look within your heart, you introspect. Why do I want to do the Tulsi Puja, you know? Even just being in the Tulsi Aarti, you're also serving Tulsi Devi. You can even do it in the mind, you know? Tulsi Devi, you know, Krishna, Tulsi Devi accept the service in the mind, you know? So we don't have to stand there and do it. We can just do it in the mind. We worship Tulsi Devi like that. She will accept. Maybe even more, you know, maybe when we do it in the mind, there's more love and devotion there than, oh, I'm getting a chance to do Tulsi Aarti. And everybody sees it on the broadcasting. What else? Yes? For the online audience, I repeat, so we are meant to become humble when we do menial service, like cleaning the toilet. But then when we clean the toilet, we can also become puffed up. Look at me, I'm so humble, I clean the toilet. And we tell everybody, oh, you know my favorite service, cleaning the toilets. You know, oh wow, you must be really advanced. And yeah, I mean, as I'm saying, false ego can spoil anything and everything. Look how humble I am. Yes, so that's why it's an important topic to hear about it, you know. I mean, even this phenomena of becoming a fanatic, also false ego. Like any good thing, you know, we can become fanatic about. Let's say book distribution. No doubt, it's an important thing. Prabhupada emphasized it so much. But then false ego grabs that aspect. Book distribution is the only way. If you're not a book distributor, you're not even a devotee. You don't understand what Prabhupada wants. And looks like I am the only one who understands Prabhupada's desire of book distribution. And because that's so important, I'm the most important devotee. You know, so we use that element of book distribution to bring attention to ourselves. I am such a great devotee because I recognize how important this service is. You know, or Harinam. I mean, a lot of temples in Europe, they have these Harinam fanatics. You know, Harinam is the go. Harinam Sankirtan is the Yuga Dharma. You have to be 8 hours a day on the street doing Harinam. And we are the only ones who recognize it. And all the other things are for those who don't understand the essence of Harinam being everything. And, you know, yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So this fanaticism, again, comes through the false ego, taking up some, no doubt, important aspect of devotional life, and then being the fanatic, and I'm the only one who understands how important this is. You know? Yes. I once heard a nice definition of fanaticism. If our enthusiasm is not guided by a higher intelligence than our own, we become fanatic. You know, because in our neophyte stage, our enthusiasm is not pure. It's mixed with a good portion of false ego and passion. So, and as we said, it affects the intelligence. So if our enthusiasm has to be guided by a higher intelligence than our own, meaning a counselor, you know, and that will save us from becoming fanatic, you know. Yes. Okay, well, it's 1 o'clock and my voice really needs a break. You want to ask one more thing? Last question.
Like Mataji, we say, more we introspect, that we find false ego is in every part and parcel of every moment it acts. The more we deepen our thinking, introspect. So sometimes we become very much, because we can see it very much in our every part of life. So we may become also demotivated. It's a very big journey to go. It's been some years of Krishna consciousness. Still I have the focus of mine is not much Krishna. It's more my false ego. So it may demotivate also sometimes. How much I am spending for my false ego, like sparking it. Why?
Yeah.
So how to keep that enthusiasm? Yes, I will keep on going, and this will be one day cured, and one day I will get pure love of Krishna.
This leads me to the topic of feeling helpless. And there is two kinds of helplessness, material and spiritual. So material is always disconnected from Krishna, whereas spiritual is connected with Krishna. So material helplessness, we still keep ourselves in the center. Oh, I'm so helpless, I'm so useless, I will never make it. We just go in circles around ourselves. It's actually a subtle sort of sense gratification. You know, some kind of self-indulgence, feeling pity for ourselves. Oh, I will never make it. But Krishna is not even in the picture. But the spiritual helplessness, there we put Krishna in the center. My heart is full of anarthas, full of false ego. Please, Krishna, only you can help me. And we take shelter of Krishna. You know, we move Krishna in the center. So this despondency that we lose all enthusiasm, this is when we don't put Krishna in the center and we take shelter of Krishna. We cry out to Krishna, you know. And if we do cry out to Krishna, Krishna responds. Krishna helps, definitely. You know, so we have to put Krishna in the picture there. And that is a question of faith, as we discussed yesterday, you know. We have to have faith in Krishna. Yes, Krishna is there, Krishna can help me. If I just desire strongly enough, you know, to beg him to pull out these things. And of course we have to have good association. Again, counselor, you know. He may be seeing that our spiritual life is imbalanced and that's why we can't move forward. Maybe we are cutting corners and, you know. No, devotee is always full of hope. We are helpless, but we are not hopeless. Full of hope. And we see so many nice examples in our society, you know, of great saintly personalities, you know, so that gives hope, you know. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. Tomorrow is one more session and I will not talk for the rest of the day, just to be able to have enough voice to give it. Yet tomorrow, one main topic is the power of forgiveness. Good topic. And a few other little things. Yes, so please come back tomorrow. And if there's still anybody who didn't get the books they want to get, here's your chance. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki. Gaura Premanandi. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Don't massage my false ego.